get that. I don't know if they can turn on the liquid nitrogen, but we can get that sound downstairs too, which is, it's kind of a cool sound. You know, I mean...
Is this the only cryo lab for seed preservation in the country, or no?
Probably in the world.
Probably in the world?
Yeah.
Wait, hold
well,
on.
I'm gonna qualify that. There are many, there are a handful of labs that have liquid nitrogen facilities, but you won't see anything like that. With the liquid nitrogen on tap and the largeness, most of them have small drawers and store their seeds. But yeah, this is unique worldwide. So yeah, we're pretty proud of this. Or not. I mean, it's a national pride that someone thought to create this. You know, that's why I like my job so much.
So most of the cryo samples here, things like twigs, or things that you can't freeze. I mean,
you can't store it in the conventional. Yeah.
So that's what this is for all of that. So all of the, like, are there oak trees here?
Acorns? Downstairs. Well, I say downstairs in research. They will come up here when they're out of the experimental. So this is actually, everything here is part of the collection, and it's not an experiment anymore. We know it works. Proof of concept. It's all here, and it's preserved, and it's on liquid nitrogen, and it's probably will survive for 1,000 years. So it's a really good backup collection. Pollen ages really, really fast, even in the freezer. So we'll store that here, just to slow down the aging process. Seeds that are difficult to come by, they still survive in the freezer, but they're difficult to come by, and they're trees. Usually, they're just not an easy to store seed. We'll put them here. So
can you just give me a few examples of actual seeds that are in these, if there are any?
There are lots of seeds, and I showed you the oats. Those are more proof of concept for the cryogenic. If rice survives, rice will survive at least 200 years in the freezer. So storing it here, it's backup. It's an experiment. But a good seed, lettuce is not a very long-lived seed, so that should be stored here. Onions should be stored here. Peanuts should be stored here. Papaya seeds, they don't survive in the freezer. They're going to be here. Anything that's a recalcitrant seed. Recalcitrant seed, the name is a funny name. It's just like a child, just difficult to deal with. And that's because they have water in them. And so they're stored here. So citrus seeds will be here. Oak seeds, because they're recalcitrant, will be here. And there's a lot of seeds that we don't know how to store yet, but they're destined for liquid nitrogen. We know that they don't work in the freezer.
So would that mean that most seeds from plants in, say, Florida, or certainly in the tropics, are recalcitrant? So if you were to store them, they would be here? There's
a high probability that if you're from the tropics, the seeds are recalcitrant, and they should be stored here. Or maybe not recalcitrant, but they have tropical oils, and anything with a tropical oil doesn't store very well in the freezer. You know that because if you put olive oil in your freezer and it gets that scum, it's not scum. It's that the oil is having a phase transition. We'll talk about it in my lab, that it's a crystallization, and that crystallization actually causes them some problems in viability. So anything with the tropics, and that's a really big problem for a lot of gene banks from the tropic. It's very valuable genetic resources, but the technology requires liquid nitrogen.
What about all those, like the grape crops, the wine crops? Is that all here? Is that
I'm going to show you that.
Is the grape recalcitrant?
No, the seeds are not recalcitrant, but that goes to the story of a Chardonnay grape is a particular clone, so you want to store the clones. If it's a wild vitis is the genus for grape, we'll store the seeds because that's what you want to keep. But if it's the clone, we have to use some other tricks. And I'm going to show those to you because that's part of our research, and it's so much fun because we're having really great success. 2 years ago, we couldn't preserve grape clones, and now we're getting